Live music with iTunes and Coca-Cola.
Hello, I'm Yannick and I'm here for XFM for the iTunes Live London Festival 2008. I feel like the King of Camden here on the roof of the Coco Club, another night at the iTunes Live Festival. And tonight on stage, we've got a band who've not only had a singles collection a couple of years ago, which sold by the bucket load, but they've also had 6 studio albums. The current album is called Silent Cry. Apparently it takes them ages to put together a set list, but they've managed it. So before their set tonight, let's go and catch up with the band. So here I am in the dressing room with Feeder. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
How was the sound check?
Hot. Good. Yeah, a bit sticky up there. Yeah, but no, it was good in general. You know, once we got it sorted, it takes a few songs now. I mean, we've had a week off, so our ears have suddenly kind of recovered from our last gig, and then suddenly it's loud.
I have to say, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but having sort of just hit 30, most of the people that I've interviewed for the iTunes Festival, I felt a little bit like it's Grandad coming to ask a few questions to people that, probably don't know any better. But you guys have been around for the best part of, 15, 16 years?
No, but
as in
the same age as you, so it's it's equal to that.
So now I feel like we're on an equal footing. But the musical landscape's changed a massive amount in that time. And sometimes it seems like the UK is more into their dance music, sometimes more into their pop, sometimes more into their hip-hop, and sometimes more into their kind of indie and rock. Where do you think we're at now?
It's kind of a real mixture, I think. I think it's certainly a good time, for indie and rock music. I think it's been over the last sort of 2 or 3 years. I mean, it's been fantastic, and a lot of young kids have got into it as well. But I think it's a real mixed bag. If you put the radio on, it covers all sort of all genres of music really, which I think is encouraging. I mean, I like to hear different stuff on the radio. If it's all the same stuff, it gets boring.
But it's a bit weak for guitar band and child at the moment, so we had to come back.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Apart from Coldplay #1, but yeah.
Are they a guitar band?
Well,
not anymore.
They are.
Yeah.
But it is tough, as Taka said, it is hard still to have that high chart success, but at the same time, certainly on a live point of view, I think that, guitar bands are doing really, really well. It would just be nice to obviously keep the radio play coming as well,
Also, since your music was first on the scene, we've had the advent of iTunes, downloading, iPods. How do you think that's changed the way that your fan base, old and new, interact with you?
Well, I think it gets you to a wider audience. I think kids have always copied music, and and they always will. But I think it's so much easier now. With most households having a computer, to download music free at some point. Our album was up there free for about 3 weeks before it came out. Which was on one hand it's kind of like great because it's it's getting spread around, but on the other hand it's sort of like annoying as well, but it's just the way it is. It's kind of, you have to really see it as a positive because so many more people are getting to hear your music.
Yeah, good way. These downloading things moved forward. This digital music and all that. But at the same time, messed up this music business. But it's interesting. That's the future.
It's taken a little
anyway.
bit of soul out of music for me. I mean, I think that obviously, as Mark was saying, the whole outlet of of finding new bands and discovering new bands is great. And obviously, we want people to hear Feeder all over the world. But at the same time, you also spend a lot of time kind of working on that record and the CD, the artwork. I mean, it's a real there is a lot of time and love that goes into that, and it's a shame that people are still, kind of, I'm not saying everybody, but some people are losing that sort of buzz of going into a record shop and actually buying a CD, and I think that's a shame. I mean, I hope that never goes away, but at the same time, I also think the technology is important, and obviously downloading is important. I just think there needs to be like a happy balance, and unfortunately, it's a bit kind of one-sided at the moment, and I think that's why record sales are really sort of suffering, not just for ourselves, but virtually everybody out there that I've spoken to in bands.
There must be an element, though, of just having to stick to your guns and do what you do and do it to the best of your ability, because that's going to be what wins out.
Exactly, because we don't know where it's going, so the only thing that we can do is just carry on regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I download music, and obviously, I do pay for it as well. it's just the stuff, you know, when you get a whole album that's sort of leaked out on the internet and people aren't paying for it, it's quite tough, you know, because we have to sort of, you know, we have to make a living, otherwise we can't keep kind of making records. And, you know, touring is very expensive. People think, oh my God, you must be earning a fortune. You can earn money, but there's a massive cost issue as well. I mean, yeah, it's a tough time, but we're feeling optimistic.
Yeah, I think it is a tough time, but I think at the end of the day, you know, people always are going to be into their music, and they always going to want to go out and have a few pints and let their hair down, you know, and lose it to down the front of their favourite band. So, you know, as long as you keep putting out good music, I think you'll be okay.
Do you feel now, I mean, I'm reading some of the reviews of Silent Cry, people say, and it's difficult for it not to sound a little bit like it's slightly a backhanded compliment, but that you sound reinvigorated, like a new fervour for what you're doing. Is that how you feel with this new album?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, there's been some weird press. I mean, in general, the reviews have been, you know, been very encouraging. But it's only one person's opinion on the day, isn't it? And half the time they don't even listen to it properly. But it has been very positive, and I think that, you know, you can't win, because if we try and do something too far of, you know, kind of left of field of what we do, people go, oh well, I really like Feeder when they do their guitar stuff, and then you get certain people go, well, they haven't really moved on. So we just have to do what's true to ourselves. You know, we're a rock band. We've been doing this kind of formula for a long time. That's what we do. You know, we don't want to suddenly change into a dance band. You know, I love dance music, but it isn't what we are. You know, we're a rock band, an indie rock band who have like melodic songs, heavy songs, acoustic songs with, you know, with strings on. You know, we do experiment a lot. That gives you a lot of scope, but we don't want to lose our identity. And I just think that I'm certainly feel happy in our own skin. I think it's important to evolve and to try new, you know, and to try new stuff out. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but I think you know, to answer your question, I think, you know, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel, you know, kind of very positive at the moment. I don't know. I can't
You completely zoned out, Mark. Completely zoned out.
I hope I made a point there, but I think it's important, because I think what I'm trying to say is, you know, you can't please everybody. You just have to do what's true to yourself and hope people like it, you know.
When you've got the back catalogue that you've got, how do you come up with a set list for example, a night like tonight?
Don't even ask about.
Pass me that bottle of whiskey.
2 days it takes him.
Yeah.
2 days?
Constant scribbling. Probably a pad per gig.
On the flight, on the toilet, dinner time.
Toilet?
Bed, in his
What?
sleep.
No toilet paper.
Yeah, but it's like use the paper afterwards. That's horrible. I do take time. It gets harder and harder because I know how important it is. You know, they all laugh at me, but if you get the set wrong, it can be horrible. And you know, but it's important to try new stuff out. Obviously, you get stuck playing the same set all the time, and people who have seen us a lot will go, "Oh, they play the same set again." It's kind of like an obsession to get that perfect set, but I haven't quite done it yet. So I'll keep being mad and doing a set list. But yeah, it can take me 2 days sometimes.
I could never go back to playing the same set every night. Never. Because it's really good, because it like, you never get bored. You know, as much time as it takes for you to do it, it is worth it, because you never get bored of the set. It's always different. So
it's actually worse for having more albums, because it gives you too much choice, and there's always somebody at the gig who goes, "Oh, you didn't play that," so I was like, "No, I can't. You know, we can't do everything." But I suppose what's kind of good about having a big, you know, back catalogue is that if we're on tour, doing like a long tour, which we're doing in October, it means that we can try different ones each night and keep the sort of fans happy, and then they get talking, saying, "Oh, they didn't play it that night." Then, so yeah, it's good for that reason.
Someone always asks for Tangerine as well. They always shout out Tangerine off the first record, and we never play it. We're gonna have to play it sometime.
I know, yeah, we will.
If you had to say to a brand new fan that's discovered you with this new album, you had to say one track from your back catalogue that you really should go and download, what would it be? Any ideas?
I can't encourage downloading. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I don't know. It's a good one, actually. That's a good question. Well, I mean, that kind of a song that sums up.
Yeah, it'd have to be Buck Rogers, wouldn't it? It'd have to be. Yeah. It'd have to be. It's the one that kind of, you know, it's the one song that everybody knows us by.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, but I don't think it's a song that sums up the band kind of musically as much as some of the others. Personally.
Go on then, Grant.
I'm just trying to think.
Is this going to be as long as the set list?
This is why I just said Buck Rogers, because, you know, move on.
I think My Perfect Day from the first album is kind of, I think it's a song that we could, you know, that could have been on this new album as well. So I'll go for My Perfect Day.
Okay, My Perfect Day.
Good choice.
Looking forward to the gig tonight. before you go, could I get you to sign the iTunes Live poster? Thanks very much, Mark. Anywhere that you can find some space. Let's see. Next to the script, very nice. Okay, Grant.
I'm on the side right next to Kylie there.
Lovely. All right, Tucker.
And I thought that was Kylie.
Under the iTunes logo itself.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for chatting to me. And all the best for the gig tonight. Thank you very much.
Eye touches.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, guys.
Live music with iTunes and Coca-Cola.